Lesson 16, finding the percentage. So this is the last one that we're going to be working on with this unit. We're going to find percentages in general. So our ICANN is the same as what we have been using. I can solve different problems like 60 is what percentage of 40 by dividing and multiplying. So make sure you have today's date, your ICANN statements, and you are ready to go. Don't forget your page number. All right, let's do a little true or false on some percentages here. So on this first one, is this true or false? 25% of 512 is equal to 1/4 times 500. It is false. And remember, it's not false because of the 25%. 25% is 25 out of 100, which also reduces down to 1/4. The problem here is the 512 and the 500. That's what makes it not equal. Number two, 90% of 133 is equal to 9/10 times 133. That's true because 90% is 90 out of 100, which is 90 hundredths, which is the same as 9/10. So this one is true. This one was false because of this. Number three, 30% of 44 is equal to 3% of 440. Yeah, actually, this is equal because really it is just moving things around, right? We have 30/10 times 44. Oops, 44. And if you look at the other, that's 3/100 of a percent, or 3/100 of one whole times 440. Basically, what we've done from here to here is we divided this by 10 and then took that, what we divided out by 10 and multiplied it by 10 here. If we divide the 10 out of this, then it's 10 times 3/100 times 44. If we take the 10 and divide it out of this, then we have 3/100 times 44 times 10. So it still comes out the same either way. What about the percentage 21 is of 28 equal to the percentage of 30 is out of 40? Well, now this one you have to think about what fractions do those make. So this would be 21/28, right? If you divide that out, actually you can divide both those by 7 and get 3/4. And 30 out of 40 is 30/4, which reduces down to 3/4. So really only that first one was false. Okay. So let's dig into what we're really looking at with all this stuff. So real quick, how would we write 15/25 as a decimal? Yeah, we'd have to change it into a decimal. We could divide 25 into 15 and find out, or we could just make an equivalent fraction. Let's see, 25. I can't multiply to make that 10, but you can multiply by 4 to make it 100. Multiply 15 times 4, that gives us 60, so 60 hundredths. So this, as a decimal, would be 60 hundredths or 6/10. Again, you can drop the 0. It's still the same value. It's just said differently. So to find percentages of all of these jump rope contests, let's read through. School jump rope, or school jump rope? A school jump rope. No, they didn't hold the contest. The school held a jump roping contest. Oh my goodness. And rewind is over. Back to the beginning. A school held a jump roping contest. Diego jumped rope for 20 minutes. Number one, Jada jumped rope for 15 minutes. What percentage of Diego's time is that? All right, so they've got a little chart here set up to help us figure that out. If Diego is 100%, then basically what we're going to do is divide whatever the time is by 20 to see what we get. Well, what do you get when you divide 15 by 20? Or, and another way to think of it is to make it into just, you can do straight up division with this. So 20 will go into 15. Oh, hang on. There we go. So 20 can't go into 15, 20 can go into 150. We just need to add our decimal. So that would be 140. Gets us 10. $20 will go into 105 times. Subtract that out, we get 0. So it's 75 hundredths, right? And 75 hundredths is the same as writing 75%. Okay. What about Lynn? She jumped rope for 24 minutes. Yeah, this is going to be more than 100%, right? Because we have 20 20ths in that 24 20ths right here. So we know that we're going to have 100 something percent. And again, we can divide that out. Twenty goes into 40 2 times. So we have 1 and 2/10. Well, 1 and 2/10 is the same as, or 1 and 20 hundredths is the same as 120 hundredths, right? So that means that it's 120%. Remember that when we divide it out like this, we're going to multiply whatever we get here by 100 to get that piece. All right. Okay, and what about this last one? 9 minutes, 9/20ths. Same thing again, right? We're going to divide the 9 because we want to see what percent of that 9 or what percent of the 20 is. So we need to divide it up by 20 or divide the 9 up by 20. Jeez. So that would be 4. Get 10 left over. We got 100. That's 5 again. Boom. 45 hundredths. Again, we multiply by 100. So that gets our percentage. Okay. All right, so if you've got this copied out like you're supposed to, part 4 says record the answers in this table, which we already did part of it. Write the quotients in the last column. So remember that each one of these as a percentage is the only difference between writing as a percentage and what it would be as the quotient here is we multiplied this times 100 to give us the percent. So each of those we just divide by 100, so we get 75 hundredths there. We get 1 and 20 hundredths here, or 1 and 2/10, and we get 45 hundredths here as well. And we already talked about 5, didn't we? That it's the same digits either way, but it's just a value. When we talk about percent, we remember that when we say percent, that means per 100. So out of 100%, 100% total of the thing, what is that other part? Well, here it was 75%, it was less. For Lynn, it was more than 100%. That's why hers is 120%, or the 1 in the 20 hundredths. NOAA is also below that 100%, and that's why it's 45%. If it had been something else, it could have been 50%, right? 50% of 100 would have been, 10 minutes. So that's all that's really going on in this situation. Okay, you should be able to recognize now the decimal with the percent at this point. Let's talk about some restaurant capacity and about how many people should be in a particular restaurant. So, sign at a restaurant says maximum occupancy 75 people. What does that mean for each of these situations? What percentage of its capacity are 9 people? Well, it's 9 out of 75, right? Okay. Well, if 100% is our total, and then we need to find out what the 9 is, so we need to find out what percentage that is. And again, that's where we do a quick bit of division. So we get what, 15 here, bring down a 0. 75 will go in there twice. So what is the percentage of people? Well, it's 12 hundredths, which we multiply by 100, and that gives us 12%. So it's got 12% of its capacity right now. What about for 51 people? We have 51 out of 75. Again, we need to divide it out. Oops. Almost made the mistake of always putting that larger number inside. We're in 6th grade. We don't always have to do that. All right, 75 won't go into 51. It will go into 510. Let's see. Probably close to 7 times, right? No, 7 times would be a little too much. Should be 6 times. So 30, carry the 3. 6 times 7 is 42, plus the 3 gives me 45. Let's see, that becomes 4, that's 11. 600, let's see, how many times will 75 go into 600? Let's see, probably 8, so that'd be 40. Carry the, let's see, 4. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 4 makes exactly 600. So for part 2, it's 68 hundredths, which is the same as 68%. What about 84%? Or 84 people out of 75? Okay, well, dividing it out, we would have gotten 1 and 12 hundredths, which is the same as 112%. And that makes sense because 84 people is more than the 75 maximum capacity. So actually, 9 people got to leave, don't they? Because if they don't get out of there now, they could get in a lot of trouble. One more quick one. 71% of the Earth's surface is made up of water. 29% is lands, continents, islands, that kind of thing. 96% of all the Earth's water is in the ocean as salt water, which we can't drink. The rest of the 4% is in lakes, rivers, glaciers, polar ice caps. If the total volume of water on the Earth is 1,386 million, it's actually 1 and 386 billion cubic kilometers. What is the volume of salt water? What is the volume of the fresh water? So first thing I did was I took it down to percentage because holy cow, that would have been hard. to do otherwise. So now I just basically got to multiply, right? So if I want to find salt water or fresh water, actually I'm going to find fresh water first, which gets us 55,440,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water. And I can either multiply that same part by 96 or multiply this by 9600ths, or since I've got this here, I can subtract it out. So whether you multiply this by 9600ths or this total by 96 or subtract out like I did, you would have come out with 1,330,560,000 cubic kilometers. That is a lot of water that is not drinkable. So basically, and this is something that most of your parents probably know as far as finding percentage, you're basically taking whatever you're looking at, dividing it by the total you know, and then multiplying by 100. This is the same thing you can do on any of your tests. So if you have a test that's worth 10 points, that would be down here. You're going to divide by 10. You get 7 points out of that 10. Take 7 divided by 10, which gives you 7/10 times 100. Your grade was a 70%. What about on this bottom one? It's the same thing. They've got what percentage of 80 is 56. We would take 56, divide it by 80, multiply by 100. And that's basically how we find percentages. So that is multiplying, dividing with percentages. We are all set. And thanks for watching.